Same world, same characters. Different story, different fates. This rewrite would be aimed at a slightly older audience. If Naruto canon aims at 9 and up, which it does, I think my story would be closer to 14 and up. This isn't because of ultra-violence, but instead due to more mature themes sooner. If my story were in anime episode form, the first episode would be Naruto's birth and the Uchiha massacre. We would see the death of Kushina Uzumaki and Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage. We would see a shadowy assailant fleeing into the night with Minato hunting them down. We'd also skip forward 7 years for a vague glimpse at the Uchiha massacre, mostly seeing blood splatter. The chilling divide for the end of the episode would be reverting from Sasuke's discovery of his clan's fate to a young Naruto throwing a ball. The perspective would have us believe he's playing with someone, but the camera would spin to show the ball rolling on the ground with Naruto alone in a field. Yeah, it's pretty sad for an ending, but the grab of the earlier portion of the episode would give us at least a rough representation of what kinds of threats this world faces. Let's get to where the story begins, as our 12 main ninja graduate from the academy. In chapter 3 of the manga, Iruka tells Naruto that the teams are balanced based on scores, but that's entirely incorrect. They aren't balanced based on scores. All the sensory type ninja are grouped together, and all the disablers are together, and this ends up forming extremely lopsided teams that don't make any sense. Team Kurenai, for example, have less disabling ability and less throughput of power than if they were in an actually balanced team. Team Guy is centered around taijutsu, so what if they were pitted against a genjutsu specialized team? Only Neji would stand a chance. I instead prescribe to the belief that a balanced team should have ninja with different specializations. And so here are my teams. Team 10, Might Guy, Rock Lee, Ino Yamanaka, Kiba Inuzuka. Yeah, I'm about to upset your whole worldview of Naruto. Rock Lee stays with Might Guy because his entire identity is fashioned after Might Guy. It wouldn't make any sense to separate the two in this case. Might Guy is also a very confident man, so I put Ino and Kiba with him because these two are also the confident ones of their original teams. So there's some personality synergy as well. Also, Ino is a disabler, Kiba is a sensory type, and Rock Lee is what I'll call a bruiser. With Tsunade in the village, it becomes customary for the academy to teach medical ninjutsu as well, thereby giving Ino this skill set right away. Might Guy will now be able to teach Ino self-defense where she normally doesn't really have much, and with Kiba's healthy supply of chakra, he'll be able to learn some of the 8 Gates power himself. I recognize that a healthy chakra pool doesn't grant greater advantage with unlocking the 8 Gates, just that Kiba now has several potential additions to what he can do. He is, after all, hyperactive, though in a much different way than Naruto. And I believe between him and Rock Lee, there will definitely be some competition forming. Additionally, though it's not exactly in keeping with today's standards, I do intend for Kiba to at least start out kind of creepy with Ino, in the sense that he makes super bold, offensive comments in her direction at first. Like Sakura, Ino is a violent girl, so I foresee many head punches from her to Kiba as he makes a fool of himself. The intent is that Kiba sort of sees himself like a playboy and doesn't have the social wherewithal to see that he's making mistakes. Meanwhile, Rock Lee is ever the gentleman with Ino, especially since he knows she's closer with Sakura, whom, even in my version, he still has a crush on. Team 9. Kurenai, Sakura Haruno, Choji Akemichi, Shino Aburame. What? I hear you saying? Sakura is a main character! How dare you slot her in with these silly secondary characters? Well, I'm making balanced teams, thank you very much. And if the main characters are even a little bit split up, that means we get to see more of these awesome secondary characters. Since Kurenai is a genjutsu type, she would pair well with Sakura. She's also the most specialized to deception of the 4 teachers, which would benefit Shino, who isn't exactly made for taijutsu and might need to rely on trickery to evade direct contact. Meanwhile, Choji has a heart of gold and can befriend anyone. If Naruto wasn't the hero of the story, Choji would probably be the next in line to be that guy who befriends everyone. He's strong and noble, so he could protect Sakura and Shino, whilst also delivering some offensive power. Sakura doesn't have a crush on anyone at the story's start, more focused on the various families and their unique powers, annoyed that she doesn't have one herself. Because she doesn't have a crush immediately on Sasuke, there's no hostile rivalry between her and Ino, so they're actually pretty good friends at the story's start. Once Kurenai points out her genjutsu potential, she latches on for dear life, and like Rock Lee, hyper-focuses on developing her genjutsu power. And I kid you not, I'm going to have a lot of fun with her development yet again. This team is a quiet one. Sakura's obedient, Choji's not really a talker, and Shino is just the most silent. Kurenai's challenge would be to get them to come out of their shells a little more, so they can communicate better with each other. None of them particularly dislike each other, but they also don't particularly like each other either. They're completely indifferent, which is another issue their teacher will need to work on. Sakura and Choji both are creeped out by Shino's bugs, while Shino and Sakura are disheartened by Choji's appetite, and Choji and Shino don't know what Sakura is even good at. It's a tangle, but it'll be a fun journey to unwrap this team. Again, Shino's a tracker, Choji's the disabler slash bruiser, and to start with, as previously mentioned, Sakura's not really anything yet. I also wanted Kurenai to have some sort of challenge, because of all the Jounin teachers, we don't see her do anything in comparison to them. Team 8, Asuma Sarutobi, Tenten, Hinata Hyuga, and Naruto Uzumaki. This is going to be so fun. I can't even describe how much I'm looking forward to developing these characters. Of all the people in the village who should dislike Naruto, Asuma should be at the top of the list. It was the fox that killed the third, his father. However, he bears no ill will towards Naruto and is selected as his leader to calm the growing rebelliousness in Naruto's heart. Tenten is also a weapons specialist, and Asuma sees great potential in harnessing Tenten's elemental natures in combination with her weaponry to make her a particularly unique specialization. Hinata Hyuga is too quiet and kind and needs someone with Asuma's combat experience and nonchalant confidence to push her toward a more bold mindset. Additionally, she gets teamed up with Naruto, her crush. This allows her to get peripheral encouragement from him, as he latches on to anyone who doesn't dislike him. Though most of the graduating class don't hate Naruto, he doesn't enjoy their apathy either. Tenten is excited to work with a Hyuga, considering the advantages of the Byakugan. Tenten doesn't have a specialization yet, but Hinata is the sensor, and Naruto with his flying Raijin could pull off disabling as well as bruiser. Naruto isn't the high-confidence, low-skill ninja he is in canon. He is in fact a facade of high confidence with medium skill. Within the village, he feels tough, with both his father and Jiraiya nearby as his teachers, but give him the right stimulus when he can't lean back on them, and I think we'll see a seldom seen side of Naruto. Team 7, Kakashi Hatake, Sasuke Uchiha, Neji Hyuga, Shikamaru Nara. Now hold on a second, I hear you saying. I thought you said the teams were going to be balanced. Minato Namikaze is still looking at potential war. His mindset is for a bunch of balanced teams and one elite team. If an army of Genin are going to be sent out to battle, he needs at least one team to make it back alive. It's grim, but it's necessary for greatest survival and success. If the best ninja was split amongst the teams, then the weaker ninja could hold back the stronger ninja, and the village would lose brimming talent for no reason. Not to mention, Minato wants to repair the rivalry between the Hyuga and the Uchiha, and joining the best Genin from both families would be a surefire way to work towards that goal. Shikamaru didn't score well, but it's well known amongst everyone who knows him that he's naturally smarter than everyone else his age. Not to mention Shikaku is himself a genius, so it's a reasonable assumption as well. Not only is this an elite team, but it's also got a healthy balance of a sensory type ninja and a disabler. Having not lost his father, Neji no longer has a stick up his butt, and idolizing the fourth, Sasuke is predisposed for teamwork now. They have no reason not to get along except for the long-standing Hyuga-Uchiha rivalry. The first moments of the story are right after the teams have been assigned. We get to have some send-offs from various characters, as well as teasing and general character building. Kiba would remark that he got teamed up with a hottie, much to the annoyance of Ino, who is still very much in love with Sasuke. Neji would have words with Sasuke, warning him to stay out of the way if their missions get dicey, only for Sasuke to warn the exact same back. Sasuke hasn't had much contact with the Hyuga clan because of this petty conflict between families, so he and Neji both are sort of prejudiced against one another for no reason other than what they've been told to believe. Sakura would be displeased at being teamed up with the creepy Shino and Big Eater Choji, sure that her team doesn't have much promise. Hinata would cheer to Naruto that they were teamed together, and Naruto would match her calm excitement. Shikamaru would express confusion that he wasn't teamed up with Ino and Choji, as their formation was a generational teaming in the village. Shikamaru also spent the majority of his childhood with Ino and Choji, and thought their natural friendship would guarantee being teamed together. In fact, later on, there would even be displeasure expressed by the parents that Minato had split this particular team up. Meanwhile, Naruto would wonder if he's too strong for his team. He's been trained by the 4th Hokage and one of the Sannin after all. He's a cut above the rest of this rabble. At least, that's what he wants to think. None of them have been told that Kakashi's team is the elite team, so it takes a keen mind amongst these children to make that deduction. Luckily, none of the kids make this connection, as that would surely stir discomfort among the genin. Several of the kids, such as Neji, Kiba, and Sakura, would express relief that they weren't teamed up with Naruto, that they wouldn't be able to trust whether he'd release the monster within. Naruto sneers at them and challenges any of them to a one-on-one, because maybe they'll learn to fear the man, not the shadow of a monster locked away. As violence begins to stir from Naruto's call to action, the classroom door slides open and Kurenai enters, beckoning for Sakura, Choji, and Shino to follow her out. Sakura flashes a silent, insulting gesture as she walks past Naruto and exits the room. He leans back and rolls his eyes. Oh, this Naruto does not have a crush on anyone yet either. He's a little too self-involved at the very beginning to think about girls. Eventually, Might Guy enters the room and excitedly shouts for Rock Lee, Ino, and Kiba to come with him and celebrate their springtime of youth. The talking between the remaining students dies down to a whisper as Sasuke settles down next to Shikamaru and mutters some greetings. Tenten leans against Naruto and Hinata's desk and says they might as well get along if they're going to be teammates. Though Naruto remains stubborn, Hinata smiles and greets Tenten. Still unsure of his teammates, Naruto's thought process is interrupted by Asuma hailing them. He spares few words before inviting them out of the classroom. Before they leave, Neji asks Asuma if their own teacher will arrive soon. Asuma chuckles and tells them to be patient. He knows Kakashi has a tardy streak, as I'm sure all the veteran shinobi of the village know. Asuma leads the team to a restaurant where they can eat and relax. Naruto leaps at the chance of free food, and Asuma tells him this is one of the only times he'll treat the team if Naruto pigs out. Doing his very best to hold back his appetite, Naruto takes just a few pieces of meat, conscious now of Hinata sitting beside him, patiently waiting her turn to grab a piece. Asuma greets the team officially, telling him that he's the son of the 3rd Hokage, much like Naruto's son of the 4th. This snaps Naruto's attention to him, surprised by the information. He tells them that he likes to plan out methods of attack as well as his prowess with ninjutsu and taijutsu. Through his own skills, he'll be able to pinpoint exactly how to make each member of the team stronger. After reviewing the team's stats from the academy, he makes a point to compliment Tenten on her use of shuriken and kunai. Tenten tries to bat away the compliment, having suffered her own losses already, unable to learn medical ninjutsu, lacking the chakra control for it. Asuma reasserts that if she keeps at her weapon training, her potential could be limitless, brightening her mood. He then turns his attention to Hinata, who's still struggling to muster the courage to grab a piece of meat. He tells her that she's of the prestigious Hyuga family. If she can conquer her shortcomings, she's sure to be a wonderful asset to any team. She nods in agreement, but can hardly muster a voice to even answer him. Finally, Asuma snaps his fingers in front of Naruto and tells him that regardless of his other teachers, Naruto still wasn't an elite ninja. He tells him that it will require a great amount of discipline to ascend to the level Naruto envisions himself to be. Asuma is most troubled by Hinata, sure that Tenten and Naruto will find their fit easily enough. He wonders why Hinata wanted to be a ninja in the first place, with her lackluster grades in both the written and practical testing. We also get a flash with Kurenai's team where she asks each of them what they want to get good at. Shino quietly says taijutsu, as his body is a hive and not ideal for taking damage. Shino's pretty good at scouting and with minimal preparation can lay out a strong offense. He would like more than nothing else to be able to aptly defend himself though. Choji says that he just needs confidence. He feels comfortable in peace, but when he's tasked to perform on the spot, he often falters. Sakura doesn't really know what she wants. She doesn't know what her strengths or weaknesses are particularly. Kurenai already knew all of this, notes that Iruka had taken while the kids were officially still students in the academy. We fade away from that team and into Team Kakashi. He's asking them what their hopes and dreams are. Neji declares that he has no wish, but a requirement: to protect the main branch of the Hyuga family, of which he was adopted into. Shikamaru looks up at the clouds and shrugs, not really sure if what he has could be considered hopes or dreams, but instead expectations. Sasuke shifts uncomfortably before saying that he wishes to discover the culprit who killed his family and clan. Kakashi expects the answers that Neji and Sasuke gave him, but Shikamaru is lazy even in dreams, and this is something that Kakashi needs to learn to excite. We also get a glimpse of Team Guy. My guy asks them what they'd like to do most before their springtime of youth has passed them by. Rock Lee shouts that he wants to be the world's greatest taijutsu master. Kiba, caught up by my guy's energy, shouts that he wants to be the next Hokage. Ino declares that she'll conquer Sasuke Uchiha in love. We don't really get a glimpse of my guy's thought process here, as he's too engaged with his high energy goofiness. We also don't want to overwhelm the audience with all the characters so much, so now we'll zero in on two characters for the conclusion. The meet and greet is over and we see Sasuke walking home, sharing a split screen with Naruto. There's a sunset to Naruto's right, the same to Sasuke's left. People walk by Sasuke as he walks, minding their own business, laughing amongst themselves, ignoring him. People walk by Naruto as he walks, sputtering insults at him, whispering rude comments to each other about him. Sasuke gets home to an organized porch and opens the door to a dark, silent house. Naruto gets home to a well-kept yard and opens the door to a dark, silent house. Sasuke looks down the dark halls of his home and his head drops. His clanmates are still out on patrol. Naruto looks down the dark halls of his home and his heart yearns for his father, no doubt still busy at work. Both of them look back out from their front door at the darkening town as they slowly swing their respective doors shut to absolute silence. Hey everyone, it's a day off! Well, not for us. But for these awesome characters, everyone's been assigned their teams and have been introduced to their respective Jounin leaders. But they get one day to organize themselves and prepare for what's to come. Let's have ourselves a glimpse at what each of the characters are doing in the time they have to themselves. Ino's okay with her team assignments, but she was raised to expect to be put with Choji and Shikamaru. Choji, however, is put out that he's been grouped with two people that he never really talked to, even in Academy. The logic is sound that at least two of the three would be teamed together, but that didn't even happen. As a result, the parents of Ino Shikacho confront Minato on his choice. He tells them that he needs results more than he needs tradition. Choza points out that Minato is breaking a team up that's lasted for several generations. Apparently they're the 15th generation? Has the village even been around long enough for that? Inoichi remarks how successful the parents' own team was, that they're known the world over. Shikaku merely warns Minato of the potential unrest among many loyal families that he could be creating with this one decision. If they were in peace times, Minato would have no problem with assigning teams based on want. But with betrayals and spies hiding behind every corner, it's silly to assign the kids based on who they want to be with. Minato tells the three parents that if their kids truly want to prove their worth, then they should train hard to become Jounin, where they might earn more freedom. He cites Kakashi Hatake and Itachi Uchiha as other members of the village who achieved their Jounin status at a very young age. It shouldn't be an impossible thought that other children could advance so fast. Unlike in canon, there was never any age restriction placed on children receiving promotions so early on. This was strictly because of the ongoing war. He tells them that he has high hopes for Shikamaru. If the other two want to keep up, they need to put in that appropriate effort, instead of just complaining about their new teammates. The camera pans out of the Hokage's office as the four continue arguing and zooms over the entire village. In one corner near the forest's edge, we see a tiny figure kicking a log. Rock Lee is training with the same dummy log he's always used, worn down smooth. He sees himself as being as prepared as possible for what's to come. One day off will only give him more time to get stronger. Nearly slipping on the battered ground below him, Lee swipes his brow and looks out at the village for a moment. The camera follows where he looks and flips over several homes before settling in the backyard of the Inuzuka house. We see Kiba working with his sister and a litter of puppies. Though Akamaru himself is a puppy, these are even younger pups. I want us to see the softer side of Kiba, the animal-loving side of him. Even though he might be harsh with his friends and rivals, when he's at home surrounded by dogs, he relaxes completely and just lets them jump all over him. In this case, he's helping his sister administer medicine to the puppies, as well as identify which are strong candidates to be ninja dogs. I like the idea of dogs being raised for Kiba's family, as well as to become part of the dog conglomerate that Kakashi frequently summons. Just a little bit of lore that could reveal where some of them are from and how they're fostered. Kiba's family has the most elite dogs primed for combat, while Kakashi's summons are trackers primarily. And then the third set would be deemed as not qualified and given away to be household pets. We only ever really see where the toads are from, not any other summonable animal. I think this would be a humble origin point for at least some ninja dogs. In fact, in my recreation, the Inuzuka family is well known by the summonable dogs. Whenever Kakashi summons dogs in Kiba's presence, they recognize and respectfully greet him. The puppies take their medicine dutifully and Kiba laughs happily as they continue to jump all over him. He lies down and looks up as we see a slightly cloudy sky. The camera zooms out as the sky transitions into Neji's eye and we see him in Hyuga garb. Neji spends his day fulfilling duties for the house. Being the same age as Hinata, he serves as her retainer in an official capacity. As ninja they are equal, but as members of the same family he is to protect and serve her. He has never questioned this assignment for him, as the family has implied that he may also be promised to her to keep their bloodline strong. Yeah, I know. Cousin-cousin relations is icky to a lot of people. But noble families have done this for millennia in real life. It wouldn't be an unthinkable pairing for the Hyuga house. And I'm not saying it's even going to happen, it's just what Neji expects might happen. Now that his father heads the main branch, he also lost his own branch restrictions. So he faithfully dotes on Hinata and waits for the promise they have implied. However, Hinata is also still somewhat of a disappointment to Neji's father. Like in canon, she doesn't seem to display a Byakugan as strong as Neji or even her younger sister. Neji's father hasn't given up all hope yet and continues to give her personal training sessions. The camera looks down from the ceiling at Hinata sparring with Neji's father, and both of them transform into shogi pieces. We see Shikamaru sitting across from Sasuke, teaching him how to play. Shikamaru hasn't really spoken to Sasuke much, but tells him how they can learn so much about each other just from playing a simple strategy game, while also learning strategies for the field. Sasuke is open to the lesson, also wanting to start out with a good team. He generally has disagreements with his clanmates and would rather spend the day out of the house anyway. Shikamaru concerns Sasuke because he seems very laid back and lazy, and Sasuke intends to reach for the stars. Nonetheless, their few shogi matches prove to Sasuke just how intuitive Shikamaru is. Even if he is lazy and relaxed, he might still be able to pull his weight in the thick of a tense mission. Regardless, Sasuke remains concerned for how Shikamaru might hold up once a real fight begins. Sasuke is used to training physically on his off time, but realizes the countless benefits of training his mind as well. As he waits in silence for Shikamaru to reset the board, he wonders how quickly they'll see bloodshed out in the field. His memory flits to images of the worst night of his life, and he winces. The Sharingan almost died that night. Kakashi sits beside Guy and across from Asuma and Kurenai, as the four have lunch together and discuss the potential of the respectful genin. Guy boasts nothing but excitement at what his kids are going to be doing with him. He already knows Rock Lee, which makes their teaming even more meaningful. And Kiba is nothing but energy taken the form of moldable clay. Ino seems let down that she was assigned to him, and he asks the others if the other parts of that generational team express the same. Kurenai agrees. Choji was also disappointed. But she also thinks that Shino and Sakura can set aside their differences and build Choji up all the same. Shino is a very patient one, after all. Kakashi agrees. Shikamaru wasn't shy about the surprise of being separated from his two childhood friends. Not to mention having to deal with a Hyuga and an Uchiha who look at each other as if they're going to attack at the drop of a hat. Asuma tells them they shouldn't complain, considering he has the Nine Tails on his team. Not to mention the heir of the Hyuga family. There's so much pressure from their respective parents to build this perfect team. On the flip side though, he has one student who has so much potential, he can't wait to train her. While wondering where the potential will grow, Asuma unconsciously pulls out a shuriken and thoughtfully stares at it. Tenten is reviewing inventory of her many weapons. Unlike the other genin, she uses so many weapons normally that she has to store several in scrolls. Like everyone else, she uses kunai and shuriken very regularly. She also has food pills that she always keeps for emergencies. Wire and 2 Demon Wind Shuriken are also in her arsenal of scrolls. Tenten makes sure to never bring weapons into combat if she doesn't know all their strengths and weaknesses. The Demon Wind Shuriken are her most recently mastered tools, and we see her motioning and recounting all the maneuvers one can perform with such a large tool. The camera pans from her room to her window and down to the street below. Sakura is making her way to Kurenai's home, invited to acquaint herself better with her new Jounin leader in a more relaxed setting. She's not wearing her headband or standard ninja outfit, but purely casual on this day. Sakura makes sure to make herself look good to show her sensei how refined she can be. She also stops at the flower shop to pick up a small arrangement as thanks to Kurenai for inviting her over. When she enters the shop, she strangely notices in the corner Shino staring at some flowers himself. Though she gingerly approaches to offer a kind hello, Shino silently continues staring at the flowers in front of him. Peeking over his shoulder, Sakura notices a bee, taking its time trying to find the best place to pull nectar from the flower. Sakura remarks that because the door is open, bugs get in all the time. Shino nods and remarks very quietly that it's beautiful, and Sakura smiles at his appreciation for nature. She thinks maybe bugs aren't as gross as she thought. We get a super zoom on the bee nestled on a daisy. As it lifts to fly away, we zoom out to see Naruto standing in a field of wildflowers opposite his dad. They aren't speaking, and Minato is waiting for Naruto to strike. Naruto throws a horizontal line of kunai and charges behind them. Minato deflects the kunai and suddenly Naruto is crashing into the ground beside him. One of the kunai had the inscription for the Flying Thunder God technique, but Naruto didn't use it fast enough. By the time he executed the ability, Minato had already knocked the blade aside, transferring Naruto's momentum sideways. Minato remarks that if Naruto wants to get the jump on his opponent, he needs to move faster no matter what. Naruto wants to complain that his dad's the fastest ninja alive. It's unfair, but he keeps it to himself. In a quick flash of imagery, we see Naruto repeating this exact exercise dozens of times until he finally teleports to the kunai before his dad knocks it away. Minato smiles at him and ruffles his hair. "That's my boy." Naruto smiles back at his dad, drenched in sweat. Minato disappears completely and Naruto sags to the ground, his focus shot. Minato reappears sitting beside him and puts one arm around Naruto's shoulders, passing him a popsicle. "You don't have to be the best," Minato chuckles as they both savor their popsicles, "but it sure would put your old man's mind at ease." Naruto smiles softly at the joke, feeling his dad's strong arm around him. He asks his dad if they'll ever see peace. "Oh, I think so," Minato answers quietly, biting the last chunk of his popsicle. "Okay, tell me how many individuals you can sense." And as Naruto closes his eyes to focus on the village, we see a pan over the full village and a slow fade to black in anticipation for what's to come next. Their day off is done and gone, and now we're looking at the training grounds. We get to see the flavors of training, as well as how the various genin choose to work together. The sun has barely peeked out over the horizon, and we see Might Guy standing with his team. Rock Lee and Kiba are alert and ready to go, but Ino is still a little bit drowsy. Might Guy laughs and points out that it's still so dark under the shade of trees, he wonders if that'll slow them down at all. Kiba confidently dismisses the issue, stating that his nose can be his eyes even in the complete black. Rock Lee also takes the challenge on, that if he has to rely on his other senses, then that just means he hasn't trained his eyes enough. Ino just yawns, and Might Guy cheers their energy to distract the other two away from Ino's tiredness and onto him. He tells them that he's accepted them as his genin squad regardless of today's outcome, but wants to know just how good they are. As expected, Kiba and Rock Lee accept the challenge before it's even explained, and Ino lazily goes along with them. She's just unenthused right now. Their mission for the next 6 hours? Hit Might Guy just once. The sooner the better, the more impressive they'll be. He tells them that if their combined efforts can land a hit on him even once, then he'll know just how much he can rely on them, relying on each other. Without issuing the start of the game, Might Guy vanishes, and all three genins spin around. Kiba complains that he thought it would just be a straightforward sparring match, not that they'd have to find him. Ino tells Kiba to focus on staying still and smelling, and not talking, as she swipes the sleep from her eyes. She tells Kiba to report as quickly as possible and for Rock Lee to act as the seeker for their team, to go where Kiba directs. Should Might Guy come into the open, Ino will keep him busy with ranged weapons so that Kiba can close in and they can pincer strike. The other two agree to her strategy and Kiba quickly sets to finding Might Guy, though he's shocked at how quickly the scent seems to be disappearing, as if Might Guy literally teleported. But of course he didn't, he's just super fast. We transition here to Kurenai, as she inspects her genin who have all dutifully shown up on time. She expected that maybe Choji would be a little slow to arrive or even a little sleepy, but he defied her assumption. She tells her team that she wants to see the best of what they're capable of doing so that she may better maneuver them on the field. It wouldn't be the wisest to go into a fight without knowing what her students could do at their best. Sakura seems uneasy at the upcoming practical test, and Kurenai knows her test results to reflect this shaky confidence. Meanwhile, Choji and Shino seem content with whatever's to come. Her challenge is for any one of them to successfully find her. A ninja must see through deception, but deception is also a ninja's greatest strength. To master either side of that statement would make one very strong in any mission. While standing before them, she says their first mission has begun, and Sakura chuckles a little, pointing out that Kurenai is clearly still in view. They've won at the very start. When Sakura goes over to touch Kurenai, she's shocked to find nothing but air, as the image of Kurenai evaporates into nothingness. Genjutsu. Shino tells them to stand back to back to back to keep eyes on all sides, and immediately disperses his bugs to find any concentration of chakra in the area that's not their own. Sakura mentions that imperfect genjutsu can have a visual warble, that if they look hard enough, they should be able to spot it. Choji complains that the darkness is going to make that practically impossible. Sakura pulls out 2 kunai and wire and ties the 2 kunai together. She hands one kunai to Choji, directing him to throw it straight ahead of where he's facing, while Sakura will match angle at a nearby tree. The wire between will act like a net to catch anyone who might be hiding behind genjutsu. They release their kunai and they spin away from their destination as the wire catches on something. All three rush to the invisible object caught by Sakura's strategy. As Choji slams a fist into the object, he groans and recoils as the illusion vanishes to reveal a thick wooden post in the ground. Illusions on illusions, they reform their positioning while Choji nurses a bruised fist. We transition again to Asuma as he stares intently at his 3 genin. Naruto is tired, but the 2 girls have come prepared. Asuma tells them that Lady Tsunade teaches her medical ninja to be light on their feet and agile to avoid taking damage on a mission. But he points out that if all ninja are agile and light on their feet, then the medical ninja wouldn't have to risk their own life to save others. Even against overwhelming odds, he expects all ninja, even genin, to be able to avoid attacks. He tells them that if he manages to land just 1 hit on all 3 of them, then this training will have to be a repeat one until they can get it right. Additionally, once he strikes someone, they can no longer help their team in any capacity. He tells them that he will restrict himself to basic ninjutsu and taijutsu for the training, but that in a real-life situation, they won't be afforded such mercy. He dives in immediately with a very fast but soft punch to Hinata's stomach. Asuma clarifies that the enemy won't wait for them to be ready, so they can't let their guard down. He tells them that he'll give them a freebie so Hinata can continue to participate for now. Straightening, Asuma takes out a cigarette and lights it, noting that all 3 are now staring up at him, frozen like stone. Distance is key, he warns, taking a mock step forward and all 3 jump back. As Naruto leaps backward, he forms several hand seals, and as he lands, he holds the last hand seal to delay the jutsu. Curious as to what kind of defensive jutsu he could be planning, Asuma jumps towards Naruto, and just as he's about to strike, Naruto finishes the jutsu and vanishes, reappearing where Asuma was just standing, one of the Hokage's daggers spinning on Naruto's index finger. Smirking, Asuma looks away from Naruto and aims at Hinata again, the closer target. As he swings at the unexpected girl who's clearly not so familiar with the flying Raijin, Tenten kicks his fist away and retreats with Hinata. Brandishing basic kunai, Asuma turns his attention to Tenten, who pulls out her own. Instead of running, Tenten seems to think offense is the best defense. Perhaps she recognizes that flight from such a powerful foe is impossible. On the other hand, maybe she doesn't recognize their difference in strength. He looks back to Naruto, who is now gone, but genin are sloppy and make a lot of noise. Worst case scenario, Naruto has abandoned his teammates, and while Asuma dons kid gloves and attacks Tenten, he wonders how he would punish such a cowardly act. We transition finally to Team 7. All 3 genin are ready to go, and Kakashi shows up late. I like to think that Kakashi is just hiding somewhere to see how they talk to each other without a Jounin present. It would certainly be important for discovering how Sasuke and Neji treat each other, if they even trade any words. Shikamaru yawns as he looks at the sunrise, wondering what they could be doing so early in the morning that doesn't seem to have any kind of reliance on time. Sasuke greets Shikamaru and grunts at Neji. Though Neji nods a silent greeting to Shikamaru, he just ignores Sasuke and both stand on opposite sides of Shikamaru. Shikamaru recognizes right away what a headache it'll be to have to put up with this hostility all the time and hopes that Kakashi has some sort of plan to sort them out. How can he rely on them if they can't even talk to each other? Roughly 20 minutes pass when the ground shakes slightly, followed by a distant thudding sound, and they see a plume of smoke rise out of the trees nearby. Though they think to investigate, Kakashi arrives at last and tells them not to mind the noise, as other Leaf Shinobi are close. It's one of the other 3 teams. He brings them to his own little training grounds, and yep, you guessed it, it's the bell challenge. He tells the team that there are 2 bells, and it's up to them to gain possession of both. Offense, defense, any trick they can muster, Kakashi allows them any means necessary to get their hands on the bells. He pulls out his book and casually flips through the pages. As they've arrived at their training a little late, the sun has risen just enough that most of the open area is lit, a disadvantage for Shikamaru. This group doesn't bring up the conundrum of 2 bells versus 3 genin. Sasuke and Neji either understand the assignment or don't care about the consequences. Shikamaru gets the point. Though Shikamaru tries to take time to survey his surroundings, Sasuke tries at an all-out assault. Much like in canon, he makes several deft moves and manages to touch a bell, and as Kakashi distances himself, he backs into Neji's strikes. Forced to dodge, Kakashi instantly regrets pulling out his book. Throwing the book into the air, Kakashi utilizes the fox stance, deflecting Neji's precision strikes and using the momentum of his attacks to execute a shoulder throw, sending him towards Sasuke. Kakashi catches his book and quickly puts it away as Sasuke leaps over the fallen Neji for another assault. Utilizing a quick tiger strike, Kakashi catches Sasuke between the ribs, thrusting the air from his lungs. As Sasuke stumbles backward, Neji pushes him out of the way and throws another assault. All this time, Shikamaru has fled to nearby bushes to study their combat safely. Of course, Kakashi is noticing the immediate aggression between the two boys, also that Shikamaru is the only one acting as a shinobi should. Back to Team Guy, we catch a glimpse of Kiba shooting out from the trees and popping back into the form of Akamaru, barking to the real Kiba at the opposite tree line. A ball of fire chases the puppy as Might Guy exits the woods behind. Leaping over the fire, Rock Lee dives in with several wolf strikes, knowing full well that the instant kill method of the tiger form would be wasted on someone so strong like Might Guy. All Lee can do is stall for time. Lee's strikes start pushing Guy back toward the tree line, but a few appropriately spaced shuriken from Ino force Might Guy to change direction. True to his word, he doesn't even try to block strikes, but the moment Rock Lee turns his back after a flourish, Might Guy uses the opportunity to throw Rock Lee toward the occasional shuriken or kunai still being thrown. As Kiba charges free from the fireball, Might Guy throws up a small mud wall to hide his actions from Kiba, but the latter blasts straight through the wall. Might Guy backsteps and stops, looking around, his form relaxing. Rock Lee is on his left, Kiba in front, Ino behind him, unconscious. When Might Guy threw Lee, the taijutsu Genin used the inspiration to throw Ino into a more opportune position. Releasing Might Guy, Ino wakes up and he congratulates them on passing the test. He's impressed that they were so quickly willing to follow Ino's instructions, and when those plans fell apart, quickly adapted a strategy to keep him on the defensive. At no point did he see Ino tell them her part in the plan, but it must have taken some quick words for Rock Lee to understand his assignment at the end. He flips them his classic thumbs up and encourages them to keep working as a team like that, and they will never regret a mission's outcome. To Kurenai's group as they're continually and more quickly spotting and dispelling her illusions. Sakura picks up on the style of genjutsu Kurenai is using very quickly, and alters their plan from defending in the open to cover and changing hiding spots often. Sakura gets them to leave a clone behind every time they change cover to keep Kurenai guessing if at all possible. While Choji and Shino are willing to leave a clone behind as bait, Sakura quickly finds that her chakra runs out faster than theirs. Shino signals to them whenever his bugs locate a concentration of chakra. I like to think of Shino's bugs acting like a radar screen, where they're spaced enough that you technically could slip through the cracks, but often if they've pinged you, your whereabouts are found out. Shino points in a direction near the forest's edge, and Sakura swaps bushes as she throws a kunai in that direction. Something clicks for her and she points Choji in the exact location, who conjures a fireball to launch just beyond the position and runs to where she initially pointed. Mind this rough depiction to show what I mean. He feels clothing rustle as his fist goes through the air and Kurenai suddenly appears in front of them as she narrowly avoids the passing fireball behind. She grins at Choji, who is visibly proud to be the one to unveil her. Shino's bugs are so small that it actually impressed her how effective they were not only in locating her, but then communicating back to Shino in such a short time. Additionally, Sakura was dispelling her genjutsu almost as quickly as she was making new illusions. The illusions were certainly very basic, but it's still impressive to repeatedly spot them and find their weakness that reveals them. The giveaway at the end was when Sakura threw her kunai, and as it flew past the shade of the trees, it remained cloaked in Kurenai's own shadow, something that basic genjutsu is unable to erase. She compliments their combined intuition, and Sakura tells her that it just felt like one big puzzle. It hooked her in right away. Shino remarks that if he were able to make a thicker blanket of sensor bugs, he would have found her much quicker, that he still needs to improve. Kurenai tells him that everyone always needs to continually improve, but he shouldn't look at what he has done as weak. It's no mean feat to best a Jounin, even when they're taking it a little bit easy. Transitioning to Asuma, we see that Hinata's out of the game, but Tenten and Naruto are still in. Tenten has nearly emptied her arsenal of weaponry trying to keep Asuma at bay, and Naruto has remained hidden since he initially vanished. Asuma has only been entertaining Tenten's feeble defense in hopes that Naruto will show his face again. Troubled that the boy would actually abandon his team so easily. Patience wearing thin, he suddenly charges Tenten and gives her a soft push to her back, nodding his head to the side, silently telling her to sit with Hinata. Turning around, he surveys the woods far more seriously than he was ever intending to initially. Finally, he spots Naruto sitting high in the foliage of a tree at the very edge of the training grounds. Annoyed, he doesn't simply charge the boy, but leaves a shadow clone behind as he leaps high over Naruto and launches a great fireball at the ground below, over the tree Naruto's hiding in. Naruto sees the fireball at the last second and executes his flying Raijin to reappear a little too close for comfort beside Asuma's shadow clone, where he had left his Namikaze kunai. Asuma grabs him by the collar and lifts him into the air, maintaining a blank stare but feeling disgust that Naruto left the others behind. "Fail," he tells him, throwing him to the ground. He asks Naruto why he abandoned his teammates, and Naruto explains that the mission statement was to avoid being struck at all costs, not protect your teammates. Asuma tells him loudly enough for it to be a lesson to the girls as well, that the fewer members a squad has, the exponentially less likely they'll succeed whatever mission they've been tasked with. It's utterly stupid, reckless, and heartless to abandon your teammates. He tells his team that every morning at the same hour, if they're not on a mission, they're to return here to continue this training until they do succeed. Not only did Naruto abandon his team, but Hinata didn't help at all. If not for Tenten, the team would have failed the assignment in seconds rather than 20 minutes. He tells Naruto that the fourth will hear of this performance, turning Naruto's disappointment to fear. A child's fear of getting in trouble, but fear all the same. To Kakashi, he's been utilizing mostly taijutsu and at last has created space from all of them, allowing him to throw some balls of mud at Sasuke and turning from that to a flood of water at Neji. From the forest, a needle of concentrated shadow suddenly juts out and Kakashi leaps away from it. While he's flying in the air, he electrifies his hand to conjure light, and upon landing, holds it close to the ground to hinder Shikamaru's shade. One hand occupied now, he's forced to fend off the other two with just one hand. However, when he looks up, he sees Sasuke and Neji fighting each other. Sasuke is disadvantaged with no dojutsu versus Neji's activated. They're shouting obscenities at each other as Sasuke's speed allows him inside Neji's strikes, but Neji's trained defenses keep Sasuke at bay all the time. Kakashi yells at them to stop, but they're too caught up in each other's energy. The training grounds has lost all meaning, and Kakashi signals for Shikamaru to stop his strategy so he can split up the other two. Turning serious, Kakashi quickly incapacitates the other two and ties them to the posts. "You think this is fun and games?" Kakashi yells at them, perplexed that they could let their petty squabble turn into such a skirmish. "I don't care if you hate each other's guts. You do this out in the field and we all die." "Well, it doesn't matter. Apologize to each other," Kakashi orders them. Taking a breath, Neji apologizes, and after a few more seconds, Sasuke follows suit. Kakashi asks them how he can ever take them on a mission if they can't act civil around each other. They're both Leaf Shinobi fighting for the Leaf. Needless to say, they've failed as well. We get glimpses of some of the genin going home to receive their parents' criticisms. Neji and Hinata both wince at the verbal lashing they receive from Hisashi, disappointed that neither of them could properly complete a mere training session. Naruto tries to avoid his dad when he gets home, but who can outrun the fastest shinobi? Minato is softer than maybe he should be, telling Naruto that though his solution to the mission was clever, it was ultimately not very wise. Naruto admits to knowing that, and was hoping for an easy victory. The fourth tells him that there are no shortcuts to greatness. The only way to prove yourself is by facing danger head-on sometimes. On the flip side, he tells him that Asuma was impressed by his execution of the flying Raijin, a marked improvement over the level Minato thought he was at. Sasuke isn't afraid of anyone from his clan giving him a talking to. Though he has an assigned guardian in Teiyaki Uchiha, he rarely has parent-like interactions with him. His clanmates behind closed doors are perpetually upset with something the village is doing. Instead, when he arrives home, it's to the celebration of his clanmates, hoping to hear how much of a beating he managed to deliver to that spoiled Hyuga kid. Desperate for that sense of family, Sasuke indulges in their requests, exaggerating on a lot of what really happened just to hear them roar with laughter. At the end of the night, Sasuke goes to his room and lies down on his bed, looking through his window at the starry sky above. The smile from the night's retellings fades from his lips, and they part to reveal clenched teeth, as Sasuke's faux joy turns to anger. We get a slow zoom out, and he's clearly frustrated at his day. The fourth would be disappointed. Itachi would be disappointed. His eyes dilate and turn into single Tomo Sharingan.